Hi, this is James Governor. I'm co-founder of RedMonk. We're the industry analyst company that primarily focuses on developer-led and engineering-led technology adoption. So welcome to the IBM Tech Exchange Virtual Dev Day. You can see we're specialists in developers. That's why I've been invited to kick off the event today. So let's take a look. It's 2025. So if we're going to think about what's happening in the enterprise, if we're going to think about what's happening in technology today and the world of software development, pretty clearly, here we are. It's June. We're going to be talking about AI. It's still the order of the day. I think there's been some skepticism about the role of LLMs, but there is no doubt that it is now increasingly touching all aspects of the software delivery lifecycle. It is being used extensively in businesses today. I think as we've seen every tech wave, there are always skeptics, but there are those in the technology in the organization that will adopt these technologies anyway. It's not so long ago that people said things like, oh no, we wouldn't put our customer data in the cloud, and then along came Salesforce. So the trends are very real. Even for the stick in the muds, it's pretty clear that AI is going to be increasingly part of really what's automation in the enterprise. And I think that's one of the things we really need to consider. That automation has been here for as long as we've had IT, as long as we've used computers, that's what they are for. And AI is really the next generation of that. I mean, I think it's kind of interesting being here today on an event with IBM, because I think you'd have to think long and hard to find a single organization that has been on this journey longer than IBM. AI is the single longest running research area at IBM. They were sort of doing speech recognition. I mean, working on these problems 50 years ago, let alone 2025. And certainly every time you use a bank, every time you book a plane, you know that you are touching these IBM backends. So IBM is a byword for business automation. It's been in the AI game since before certainly this current wave, and I think that's kind of interesting. So let's think about software development. Really, when we first saw this current wave of technology, 2022 with GitHub Copilot, it was quite interesting. Wow, it's generating some code that's actually pretty good. 2023, when ChatGPT happened in November, everything changed because really the quality of the code was so good that a lot of software developers were surprised, and some of them were really quite worried. But the results speak for themselves. And yes, there are definitely some people out there that are still saying, oh, I will never use it. I will do sort of artisan hand-rolled code. But I think the danger is that some of those people will be a bit left behind. 2024, from a model perspective, we began to see the rise of models such as Anthropic Claude Sonnet, very popular again with software developers. But here's the thing. Those models have been fed on open software corpuses. And for enterprises, that can be a bit of a concern. Do we allow our data to be used by those platforms? Should we be training our own models? I don't think that's where the likes of IBM came along with sort of Granite and saying that actually for the enterprise, perhaps you do want to train your own models and we will help you do that. Because here's the thing, I think that as we've seen very clearly in this AI world, there's been some rather relaxed attitudes to things like copyright, which is perhaps fine if you're a startup, but isn't so good if you're an enterprise. A very interesting sort of this idea that, oh no, we need to get rid of copyright, in order that we can have AI as a business model. Well, that's sort of fine, but what about all of the artists? What about all of the creators? What about all the software developers? And everybody that are creating things? How are they going to be paid? What's this going to look like? Copyright still have to have some value in the world today. With open source, it found a way to, I mean, open source is about, indeed, ownership of code. Sometimes that is freely and community owned. And I think we need to get some of that sort of thinking for AI in order that we could take some of the next steps. So the AI companies, there's like OpenAI, they have taken corpuses of work that whether or not they have permission to do so, and again, that's a concern. Further, there's just a question about digital sovereignty more broadly. It's 2025. Let's just say that the political environment is a little bit fraught. I won't go any further than that, but for a lot of organizations worldwide, that means digital sovereignty is more important than ever. Management of data is very, very important where the AI happens. So in that sort of world, I think there are two things. If we look at the enterprise, top two concerns today, probably AI and digital sovereignty. Well, as I said recently, an investment thesis would be I should invest where those two things happen. And I think what's interesting, and it's not my job to sort of say this in a sense, but pretty clearly, IBM is a company that's doing things at the intersection of AI and digital sovereignty, and you'll be hearing more about that today. So I've talked about the productivity advantages of AI. I've talked about some of the concerns about copyright, but clearly we're going to need guardrails. We can't, even though there will be shadow AI, as we had shadow IT, organizations are not going to feel comfortable not having controls around which models are used, when they're used, and how they're used in the enterprise. We've got these amazing new standards. Many of you will have heard about Model Context Protocol, MCP, which will open up all of our backend services, or our backend services and the backend services of the SaaS providers and others that we rely on to AIs. That's great, sounds great, but we're going to have to secure that because there are entirely new threat vectors. Prompt injection is one, and if we've got connections to our AIs and we're able to fool those front ends that are AI based, we're effectively in danger of opening up everything to hackers. So we've got to have control. We're going to have productivity. The real thing from our perspective is that developers, not everybody wants it, but everybody's going to have to use it. And there are certain cadre of people that are just very excited to move ahead with AI. So I think the things we've done around platform engineering and controls are really coming into their own at the moment, because we need to give those self-service experiences with guardrails, make developers productive, and that's how we're going to create great new applications for our end users. Some people are saying you don't even need those SaaS apps anymore. You'll just have a really well-managed data foundation and AI front ends. There's going to be a lot of disruption. That is a concern for the enterprise, and you're going to be looking for partners in navigating that. So if we think about this question about orchestration and automation in AI, what are we doing? I should say that. I've got 3 brilliant speakers coming up. They're going to introduce their tracks. So it's a chance to hear from them about what the tracks are going forward for the rest of the event. So after this intro, you'll be able to choose which of these tracks you want to join. And they're going to talk a bit about what they're doing and what they're going to be talking about. So first up, I'd like to welcome Alan Chan, IBM Distinguished Engineer and CTO for Business Automation and Watson Orchestrator. So I've done a bit of a quick rant there, an explanation of how I'm seeing things in the industry today. Alan, over to you to explain a bit about what your track is and what you're seeing from your customers and how you're going to serve their needs.
All right, thanks, James, and thank you. I think a lot of the points that you alluded to during your, the kickoff actually speak to the majority of the problem we're trying to solve here at Waterx Orchestra. It's all about making AI agents, right, that are ready for enterprises, and it's not just about, in this case, it's not just more than just the quality of the AI, is whether the AI is making the right decisions, and whether if the AI agent is acting on behalf of you, whether it has the right authority to actually do that work, right? Then you get into things like observability, like how do I know the agent is doing what, like how you come up with the reason, explainability, like explain to me how you come to these decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And then and then you get into governance, and things like prompt injection is a very easy way to hack around agents, to like with people trying on. That's why we're coming up with technology that actually going to allow you to enforce a certain sequencing of work, right? Rather than totally rely on agent to sequence things, right? You have,
Hmm.
depends on certain tasks that are creative tasks, maybe the agent can just, take advantage of its strength. But there are certain things that are, at least at this point in time, the regulatory compliance, it has to be done a certain way, right? And given, then it's better to just do it in that certain way versus relying on, the LLM to kind of figure it out. And also it give you like things like auditability and stuff. So my track is all about, in IBM, Watson X Orchestrate is really the platform to build AI agents.
Hmm.
So, and it's not just about building any AI agents, building AI agents that can be trusted and used daily by the enterprise. It's also AI agents that more than become a personal assistant, but also a coordinator between other agents and also other people in the enterprise. So what we are going to talk about today is actually a couple aspects, right? So for first, we're going to introduce the audience to our agent development kit, which is available for anyone to download and try out our technology. We believe that's very important to make it accessible. Um, we're going to talk about some of our ecosystem on how someone can, oh gee, I don't want to build an agent with IBM, but instead I'm already building some agent with like OpenAI or
Hmm.
Copilot. Like how can I bring those investment into an ecosystem so that you can leverage the platform like Watsonx Orchestrate to provide the visibilities and and guardrail that you need to before I run the agent. Then we have other tracks like talking to um, uh, with a collaboration with Intel to look at trust tracking your open source AI journey. There's actually six other tracks, so there's actually a lot of things happening today, right? We have Amir from Meta to talk about Llama 4,
Hmm.
and we talk about Granite model as well. You mentioned Granite. Basically is our belief that there are going to be cases where first a small model will be faster, and when you have a small model that we know are trained on approved data, then you have less of a chance of doing getting into any potential IP infringement type situation. The next we talk, and then follow on by that, then we talk about some other things like multi-agent reasonings or threat remediations with HashiCorps, and finally we'll wrap up with agentic decision optimizations. Is really, in that case, is can I really use an agent to help me optimize some of the decisions that we are making? So I think we have a full day of activity. The focus is all about how to build AI agents that are
Hmm.
ready for enterprises.
Okay. But just
Okay.
one quick question. So you mentioned, or I mentioned MCP.
Right.
How do you think this is going to play out from a standards perspective, looking at
Yeah.
MCP
So
and
right,
A2A?
and you call a key point, right? We in Waterx Orchestrate support MCP tools. You can bring in an MCP server to run. One of the key thing is MCP allow us to discover tools, but what it doesn't do, I guess, is whether it's the right tool to use. Like, and the other key things is we are also looking at other agent to agent protocol like the A2A,
Yep.
or and then there's a run compression API from that was first started with OpenAI, and IBM also have our own spec called ACP. So that's the other area where we are also looking into, how can we have agent collaborate with each other, each one may be using MCP. But again, those are framework. But on top of that, I do think that we need to provide a level of guardrails and governance around the tools that you discover. And the other aspect that I've seen people starting to do is, they just take some backend services and expose an MCP tool. The problem is a lot of those backend services are not intended to be in the first place, used by AI, and a lot of the assumptions were not build around that in terms of API call versus agent call. And so I think there's still some learning to be there in terms of what make a good agentic tools, right? And that can be inferenced correctly, and then the AI can plug in the parameter correctly.
Yeah, I think that's such a good point. I mean, partly because, of course, it's not just one agent. We're going to have whole swarms of agents. I do think it's very interesting what you were saying about how do we ensure the sequencing of what they're doing, because I think one of the things that perhaps we are underestimating as an industry, or at least as folks doing IT, is just the scale of this. And if we think about, to your point, these we didn't build systems, many systems traditionally. Certainly, historically speaking, with IBM mainframes, they weren't built with the idea that everyone would be accessing them with their phone all the time.
Yeah.
And suddenly there were many, many more users of these systems. Of course, with agents, we're going to have orders of magnitude more access required. Just so many challenges. So yeah, I think there's a lot of interesting stuff to learn there about agents and the role of IBM Watson Orchestrate. So Alan, thank you very much. And I'm sure a lot of people will be checking out your session. So for me, I think the mainframe thing is really interesting. I talked about it a bit. Without knowing it, we all use them every day. And at least from my perspective, that's interesting. When I first entered the industry, that was a platform that I ended up learning about. In fact, my business partner, Stephen, he too spent some time doing some systems programming at a manufacturing company in the US Midwest, programming a mainframe. And at the time, and as I've seen many, many, many times, people saying, oh no, mainframes are dead. Well, they're definitely not. They're still at the heart of many of our business operations. And I mean, I think that's been a mark of the platform sort of longevity, out of the fact that it's been opened up, made more accessible. Every tech wave that's come along, we found a way to take advantage of those services. And so I think to talk a little bit about that, about the mainframe, Linux One, the continued longevity of this legacy platform, a heritage platform, and its value, I'd love to introduce you all to Khadija Swissi, Principal Solution Architect, AI on IBM Z, and Linux One. So Khadija, perhaps you'd like to tell us a bit about what your session is going to be and what the people that have joined us today are likely to find out from your tracks.
Yeah, thank you very much, James, for having me. And as you have just mentioned, there is a lot happening on the mainframe platform. So 70% or more than 70% of the worldwide transactions are taking place on this platform. So we have also celebrated our 60 years of mainframe last year. And this really speaks to the longevity of the mainframe platform, but also to the evolution that it has been going through the last decades, and it keeps evolving. So let me just share my screen in order to let you know about what we are going to talk about in our AI on IBM Z track. So very shortly, my name is Khadija Swissi. I am responsible for AI on IBM Z and Linux One from solution architecture point of view, and I am responsible for a client's projects, identifying relevant use cases that have synergies with the IBM Z platform, and also to running pilot projects as well as proof of concepts and MVPs. Our track today is going to be composed of different kinds of sessions. We will have a keynote session in shortly, which is going to highlight why we are applying AI on IBM Z, what kind of technologies we are bringing, and what type of use cases we are seeing in the field when clients would like to apply AI on IBM Z. Then we will have a very interesting demo session, which is going to be led by our expert Sonia and our expert Chinmay, regarding also the topic of agentic AI and AI agents. how to build and deploy them on IBM Z in just a few minutes. I'm going to talk about the agenda points. I am going to highlight every session. So I already talked about the keynote, and this is about unlocking business growth and operational efficiency with AI on IBM Z. And the same applies for sure to the Linux One platform that is more Linux focused, and which is a kind of the sister or brother of the IBM Z platform. And then we have, again, the demo session provided by Soumya and Chinmay, where you can discover and explore tools that are needed to build agentic AI capabilities and deploy them on the offering called Watson X Assistant for Z in a few minutes. Soumya will for sure tell you about what Watson X Assistant for Z is about and how we are introducing agentic AI capabilities and concepts in this very interesting solution that is intended to boost the productivity of the IBM Z users, especially as they are onboarding the platform and trying to understand how things work, how the systems, the subsystems, and all the middleware components work, how they can use the platform. All this can be basically for that they can use the assistant, and they can also have the automation within the assistant to basically help them execute routine tasks that help them become more productive and also help them reduce errors. And I will let Soumya and Chinmay tell you more about that. And then we will deep dive into the different aspects in the scope of hands-on lab sessions. First session will be around Linux fundamentals, topped with a touch of AI, where you can experience different processes, starting with logging into the Linux for the first time, if it is really your first time, and typing out your first comments, also being able to install software and editing your first program, and even going so far that you can discover the open source AI and machine learning tools that are available on this platform. And then we will continue with the second hands-on lab session, which is about AI and machine learning on IBM Z and Linux One, with more hands-on experience, going through a smooth experience and learning how popular Python frameworks and Jupyter Labs can be used on this platform. We will also have an upskill and reskill session with IBM Z Explorer, where you can develop these skills and get hands-on learning with this tool. You can discover how you can use this tool for upskilling, and you can get an introduction to the no-cost learning platform and walk through some technical challenges where you can learn more and have an opportunity to earn industry-recognized badges. Last but not least will be a Python and Kix session, where you can learn how to use the Python application to communicate with a Kix backend application, and where you can really see how we can infuse the AI models into existing key Kix applications or further types of legacy applications. So that's basically all about our track. We are looking forward to welcoming you in the AI on Z track, and to fruitful discussions and also collaboration in the scope of the hands-on sessions.
Amazing, amazing. Thanks so much, Khadija. And yeah, I mean, I think one of the interesting things there is Python. I mean, I remember, I know how much work over the years IBM has done opening up the mainframe to Java. But yeah, Python is pretty clearly, I mean, we track programming language adoption. Python finally is getting to a stage of parity, and in some cases, more adoption than Java. So no surprises to see it there. So that sounds like a really interesting session. Okay, so thank you very much. And our final track owner, final speaker for this quick session, introducing what they are going to be, what their track's going to be presenting on today, is Kanchana Padmanabhan, Director of IBM Automation. So over to you, Kanchana.
Hey, thanks, James. Hello, everyone. Extremely exciting to be part of this event that has drawn so many of you together. And together, we are going to unpack what AI means in the automation space, specifically in the context of IBM products. So it's a great pleasure to lead that track. And we'll see various aspects of the lingering questions that are there, that are specific, that are generalized to the industry, and also more specific to the products that IBM has in the automation portfolio. We all have seen this, right? There is constantly a new wave of AI almost every 2 to 3 years, starting from almost start of last decade, and now generative AI and lately agentic AI are coming up. So the question for us is, how do we ride these waves and trends and still be conscious and not get too distracted to ride a new wave without unlocking business value from AI? So powered by What's the Next platform, AI plays a critical role in all IBM automation products. We have Instana that's able to provide smarter alerts when problems happen. It's able to conduct root cause analysis on a faster basis based on the data that it's able to harness, conduct better end-to-end monitoring, and generate intelligent remediations to resolve problems quickly and accurately, right? And one critical aspect of AI is, I know we talk a lot about it just from a software point of view, but we need to understand the role of hardware in the whole AI space, right? There is significant innovations happening there as well, to ensure that speed and resources are not the limiting factor to unlock value of AI. And what better tool than Turbonomic, IBM Turbonomic, that's able to ensure that it is all the resources that are available for your applications, be it AI or regular, are running with efficient resource allocation in real time. And it basically guarantees that advanced compute that's needed for AI is optimized for performance and efficiency. HashiCorp Terraform, yet another product that you all must have heard a lot in the recent past, is all focused. They're the masters of infrastructure as a code, and they are able to take automation to the next level. And also IBM Concert, right? It is a product that capitalized AI from the first release that was put out last year. And release after release, what we try to do is ensure that the products, the solutions for use cases that are built on technologies that have lived in the industry for long enough, are hardened and mature to unlock business value. And the ones that are built on the newer waves like agentic AI, we iterate really quickly to ensure that we are able to get market validation and move quickly from experimentation to driving business value. So the track has a lot of eminent speakers, and you will see an hour deeper into what each of these products mean. And more importantly, also, focus on those tracks that bring two products together, right? How Concert and Instana work together to unlock value from each other, how Turbonomics and HashiCorp HashiCorp Terraform in specific are able to work to ensure that the automation needed for infrastructure is happening in a seamless and efficient manner. So with that, I will turn it over to you, James. Thank you all.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Kanchana. So the automation stuff for me is really fascinating, partly from the point of view that I and some others are working on a book currently about a concept called progressive delivery, which is really this idea that obviously CI/CD have driven us all forward as an industry in how we develop software, but there are some things, A/B testing, feature flags, testing in production. There are a set of disciplines that came along after the cloud became so prevalent that really means that we have an abundance of tech infrastructure, and certainly being able to be more make experiments, roll new things out, test them with small managed user cohorts, look at that from an observability standpoint, do rollbacks, keep things safe. Bringing all those things together, that always requires, as Kantana was saying, one tool working effectively with another one. So that's something that I'm definitely interested to follow up on. I think there's a lot of really interesting sessions going on today. I hope you all have a brilliant day. I'm sure you'll be dipping in and enjoying a lot of this technical content. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day. And that's it for me, James Governor from RedMonk.